My name is Kenji. I'm a filmmaker in all forms. I'm a writer, director. Yeah. So writing on Untying Kantai was a long process. I mean, we just started in 2020. We came together, went to a house in Karen, and we didn't really know what we were creating. Just whatever ideas were really coming through, and ideas came back and forth. And then we met several times over the years, and every time we heard that the show was not getting picked up, we needed to go back and work on it again. And then we eventually, what ended up being the show that you see, came probably in the last meeting. That was beginning of 2023 in January, where we really now came up with the characters, but the themes had already been solidified. So yeah, that was the writing process. We had so much time to refine these characters. We knew them. We would go away for 3 months, come meet again, and people would have new insight. They'd have new stories. They'd have new drugs that we were going to experiment with. Yeah, so that was the process. I wrote 3 episodes. I wrote episode 4, 5, and 6. So my process is quite similar, and it has always been the same. I always start with the end. I start with the end and work backwards. I want to know how my story is ending so that I can create dynamics to make it get to the ending, in an unexpected way. Yeah, so I start with the ending. I know my ending. I know this is how the story will end. And then now I build before. But my main concentration is always on characters and how they react. And I feel like in stories, we fall in love with characters more than plot. So I'm always looking at creating dynamic characters. Yeah. So my time is taken coming up with the ending, and then developing the characters, and then the plot is something that just comes on top. Yeah. Where I get my inspiration from? I get my inspiration from 2 sources. I get my inspiration from different art forms. So I don't necessarily get my inspiration from movies or TV shows. I get my inspiration from music. Sometimes I even get my inspiration from podcasts. I'll listen to a podcast and they'll be having a conversation, and I'll be like, oh, why haven't I ever had a movie that is centered on this type of conversations, or 2 characters that are talking about this stuff? And then I also get a lot of inspiration just from real life and seeing as well situations that I see normally in real life, and I'm like, oh, this is such a normal situation for me. How come I've never seen it on screen? If it might seem mundane, very regular, but it has just never been shown on screen, and I feel like there's magic in that, in showing things that are very normal on screen. So the brilliance of writing, of having so much room, so many times when we met and we went through the stories together, you get to understand the characters' voices, and there's different ways of writing. So the only person who really saw the different writing styles is Abel, who was the script editor. But for me, I would just write what I felt like how this character would talk and walk and stuff. I wasn't really being influenced by how someone else was writing. I wasn't really reading the other episodes. Once we divided the episodes at that last meeting in the writer's room, I never got to see the scripts until when we were shooting. So then I saw that a lot of dialogue had been changed and stuff, and that's, I guess, the job of the script editor to come and refine those things. Actually, I'm lying. I wrote Ep 9 as well, so I think I wrote 4, 5, and 9. Oh yeah. So I wrote 4, 5, and 9. I did direct a script I wrote, but no, I didn't want to write scripts, to direct scripts I wrote. I feel like filmmaking is a collaborative art. I want to have other ideas, to see what other writers find interesting, as a director, as soon as I finish writing and I put on the director's hat, like I stop completely thinking about writing. Now all I am doing is I have this script in front of me, these ideas, how do I present them? So even directing that one episode that I wrote, I found myself being way more critical of like, hey, who's this writer? Such a novice writer. What is he writing for me here? More than with other people, because then I'm like, oh, I like this idea. I've never thought of it like this. I never saw that happening like that. So I got more excited directing other people's scripts. Yeah, that was interesting. So there's all this rapport that has been formed. I came in, I think a month into shoot. I think that shot for like 20 days. So people have bonded, people have fallen out, and then I'm the new person. And, people are tired. We've been shooting crazy days, and I'm here with enthusiasm and energy and so many ideas. It was very interesting. It was very interesting to balance that and understanding the dynamics of the set. So it was very new for me because I'm always there from the beginning of a project. So coming in then was a bit crazy. I'm just laughing because I'm just
Tell us what you remembered.
I just remember one of my first days on set. It was a really long scene. It was Kantai coming to rescue SK from Arnold's lair.
Hey! El Chapo mwenyewe. Amekuita Suko. Suko. Ulita mtoi wako Suko.
And we're shooting in this small room. It has like 12 people in it, 12 characters. And it's the last scenes of the shoot. I think we started shooting it at like 8 p.m. and we finished it at like 11. And there were 2 scenes, but because we had to get so much coverage, it ended up taking a long time. And this is like my second day of shoot. So I'm just here like, oh, we need this shot and we need this shot. And, at some point, like, people are just not having it. Like, it was so frustrating. And it's okay, it happens. That's it. Sets happen like that. But I just remember that day going home and feeling like, oh yeah, I need to understand that as much as, yes, I need to have my things to get done, but there's also what has happened before, and I need to also sort of balance it. So from that point on, I was more decisive over when I would want to really go wild and when I would just be like, okay, this is enough and let's move on. It's a good question. No, I think as soon as when I found out which episodes I was doing, what I let go of was that I would have any sort of control over how these characters, they would already have been shaped by 2 directors. All I was very adamant about was making sure that when I come on set, I understand what those characters are. So no, I definitely was like, I'm sure Phil and Smalls would have already shaped these characters. I can't come and now tell them like, oh, now you're like this, or I saw you like this. I was just curious to learn and to absorb, okay, how have they been built up? I think the most difficult scene I shot was the last scene of Ep 9, which was a scene that I wrote, which was when SK and Kantai both go sell drugs at a office party.
Unafanya nini hapa?
Si mimi niko job, wewe unafanya nini hapa?
Job.
Party. And it was difficult because it was the last scene of the show, and it was like, we have been shooting this show for so long, people were so tired, production had run so long, and we're shooting this scene at like 2 a.m. And then on top of that, I'm in the scene. And for some reason, it was very difficult, but I think it was just that last energy push that guys really put in. I just planned, I remember planning everything meticulously, giving 40 all the shots that I needed and letting go. I was so sure that something was going to go wrong, but it was actually quite smooth. But I remember being extremely stressed the night before about that scene, because I was like, this is my first episode of the show. I want it to go well, but it's the last scene of the whole shoot, so it can either be. I was even telling the editor, I was like, this will either be magic or it will be a total crap. And I'm happy it's not. I think I loved shooting episode 12. Is it 12? No, I think it's 11. Episode 11 when Ruby gets high. Yeah, that high episode. I loved that high episode. And just seeing the different types of high, from SK's high to MRI's high to Ruby's high, and talking to the actors and figuring out, okay, what's high. Like I just never thought I'd ever direct something like this. So I was very, very excited. And
Unajua mimi zimenishikia wapi? Dimension 6.5.
got to explore so many things, and it was fun, yeah. No, so I'm very clear. I work differently from the other two directors because I think I come in very clear about what I want to shoot. So I want to have discussions before we even get into the scene about the way I want to cover a scene. And through those discussions, me and 40, I've always worked well together in that way, because he already knows that I'm going to come with very strong ideas, and he's going to tell me what he thinks, if it's possible or not. So that has always been our working relationship. So in those times when he has an idea is when he'll come and tell me from the get-go. As soon as we open the scene, he'll tell me, oh, I have an idea before you give me mine. And I'm very quick to be like, if he gives me the idea and it's better than what I thought, I won't even give him my idea. I'll just be like, oh, let's shoot it like that. That makes a lot more sense. So that's how we work together. I did, special effects. I did some, what are they called? There are technical terms. There's matte paintings, but I created establishing shots. Like the church, you see that church was not there. I created the church stab. I created other stab shots. I created the blood splatter on Ep13. Created the news scrolls. No, I did the titles. No, actually, Chol, who is the main VFX artist, did the main titles of the show. We had several discussions. What I did was the first and the last episode. So Ep13, when the blood splatters, when we see someone get stabbed, that was me. And Ep1, I think the thought was always going to be for us to incorporate the titles into the show. So they were supposed to be seamless. Some worked, some didn't work, which was a learning process for all of us as directors. But yeah, I feel like I'm very proud of the one we did on Ep13. So I'm a writer who likes to direct and also to edit. So I get a assembly cut, which is the editor will put together the scenes and see what they feel like are the important parts of the story. And then from there, I'm the one who finishes my episodes. I cut them down to what the length needs to be. My episodes are not really as long as the rest, but I take time to edit them. So I love when an editor gives me an assembly, because I'm like, oh, I never saw this way of covering this scene before, and it brings out different types of emotions, because they say editing is second directing. So I'll watch the editors edit a couple of times, and then I'll go in and I'll give my own edit version of it. So I did that for all my episodes. So Untying Kantai, I'd say, is the biggest project I've done as a director so far. It was a lot, you know. Huge weight on the shoulders. Just knowing how much we had worked on it as writers, just knowing how deep we wanted it to feel, how big we wanted it to feel. So the difference was a lot of pressure. Working with new people, working with this level of talent was also amazing. So that also changed a lot of things that, you know, you'd walk onto set with an idea, and they're like, the actors who have really also thought a lot about this show have their own ideas. The production designer who has also thought a lot about the show has their own ideas. So it was really such a synergistic coming together, that it did feel like in the beginning that, oh man, this is a lot. But as we went on, you're like, oh, I only want to work like this. I only want to work on this level because it's so good. Like you so many things are thought about for you, you know, like it really helps you just concentrate now on delivering performances, getting themes across and getting character arcs to go the way you want them, because everything else people are thinking about them tenfold. Yeah, it was amazing. I'd say the people closest to me really liking the show. It's very rare. Like, you know, the people around me are just like, yeah, oh, you do, oh, you direct, oh, that's nice, oh, what, oh, okay. With this show, for some strange reason, everyone who's close to me is like, oh my god, I love it, I love this show, I love this character. It's been so strange. I'm not used to it. Yeah. If there was a season 2, I'd love to delve into the characters we didn't really get to delve into, especially Mampasi. I'd love to see her story develop. I think there's a huge room to grow in that side. I'd love to have more high scenes. I think it's important. I think it's important to explore that as a society, you know? No, I'm joking, yeah. But I think we go above and beyond. We go on top. We try and do things as different as possible. Like, as we go to the next level. That's what I'd like to do. So if we broke this ceiling, let's go and break the next ceiling. That's what I'd love season 2 to be. Future projects. Right now, I'm just out here on the streets. Call me. Call me. As in, Workwise. I'm on the streets, Workwise. Yeah. So I've thought a lot about this. Untying Kantai, you can't count.
Yes.
Untying Kantai is a show that mirrors society and yourself. So, watch keenly.
That was very good. All right, thank you, Kenji, for your time.
Welcome.
Good job.
Thank you.